And lights out. Welcome into another edition of the F1 Starting Grid as we take a very unique look at Formula One. As always, welcome aboard. Chaz Day, the Mike Allen, and I'm Brock Young. We are on the board of two races back-to-back at the Red Bull Ring. But before we do that, I want to get your first take on the French Grand Prix. Chaz, what do you think about that?
I'm upset. I am disappointed. We've been robbed. The FIA is unconstitutional. All of it. It's terrible. Terrible result. Pirelli's in on it.
And they weren't in on it in the streets of Baku, were they?
Hey.
Mike, your first take on it, man.
I thought it was an exciting race, and we're kind of settling into the first third of the season, and the teams are kind of meshing themselves out. And I was glad to see Williams improved a little bit and got at least within 2 spots of the points. Maybe they'll improve a little bit more and get into the points. That would be cool. But hey, one can hope, right?
one can certainly hope. Absolutely.
I thought it was an exciting race. I like those rundown races, and we were talking a little bit before the cameras come on about it's easy in hindsight. Of course, we're under no pressure to make the right or wrong decision, but in 2 races now, we've seen this kind of scenario play out. The first with Max getting chased down by Lewis, and then Lewis getting chased down by Max, and it all boiled down to tires. Mm-hmm. and trying to stretch out a big enough lead and then milk your tires till the end and hope the other guy doesn't catch up to you, or hope your partner at least slows them down. And Valtteri couldn't slow him down. I guess my question, if I were to ask both the teams, would be, why don't you, as soon as your rival pits getting on new tires, why don't you pit right behind them? And you're going to lose that advantage, but you're going to have and let them battle it out on even terms instead of on milking tires till the end and the other one superior position. That's a question I would ask them. I don't know. They could have reasons for that. Again, I'm in no position and no pressure, and I don't have any consequence to that decision. This is just as an observer and as a fan. But it was exciting.
It's a tough call, Mike, because with strategy, making that call, one, they were only 1.5 laps off, which is a lot, to be fair, but it's also in the context of 53 lap race. Mm-hmm. They were 1.5 laps off as far as their call, as far as how far they could make it. And I heard, and this is probably what the analytics were showing. I watched both Hamilton and Verstappen talk about it afterwards. Everyone, including Verstappen, was surprised that he was able to undercut. Like, everybody. Like, he said, he was like, "Look, I wasn't expecting to come out ahead. We were just faster." Like, Lewis had a fast pit. It was like 2.5 seconds. 2.2 seconds. He wasn't even expecting for the tires to be that much faster. So I don't know.
Well, exciting race. We'll get into that here in a minute, but I want to break it down right quick. But it was an exciting race altogether. I mean, people said this is probably the most exciting race they had at Paul Ricard so far, which is really good to hear. But and we're also going to get into the tire situation, because Mercedes was not the only one that had tire situations over the past weekend.
Yeah.
But let's just run down this right quick. The race results: Max came in first with 1:27.25, followed by Lewis Hamilton. He was almost 3 seconds behind him. Sergio Perez with 8 seconds. Valtteri Bottas with 14.5 seconds. Lando Norris was all the way in fifth with behind them with 64 seconds. Then Daniel Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Sebastian Vettel, his partner Lance Stroll came in 9th and 10th. And 11th, we have Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. 12th, we have George Russell in the Williams Mercedes. In 13th, we have Yuki Tsunoda, Esteban Ocon, Frenchman in 14th. 15th, we have Antonio Giovinazzi. 16th, Charles Leclerc. 17th, we have Kimi Raikkonen. 18th, Nicholas Latifi. 19th, Mick Schumacher, followed by his partner Nikita Mazepin in 20th. I also want to say that every single driver finished the race. None of them DNF'd. That's something to say right there. And as far as the standings, Max extended his lead to 131 points behind Lewis Hamilton behind him with 119. Sergio Perez with 84. Lando Norris with 76. Valtteri Bottas with 59. 52 for Charles Leclerc. Carlos has 42. 35 goes to Pierre Gasly. Daniel Ricciardo 34. 30 to Sebastian Vettel. Behind that is Fernando Alonso with 17. 12 for his partner Esteban Ocon. Lance Stroll has 10 points. Yuki Tsunoda has 8. Kimi Raikkonen has 1. Antonio Giovinazzi has 1. George Russell, Mick Schumacher, Nikita Mazepin, and Nicholas Latifi all have 0. Constructors, Red Bull also extend their lead from 215 to 178 over Mercedes. McLaren has moved up to third with 110 points. Ferrari stays at 94 points. AlphaTauri has extended to 45 points. Aston Martin to 40. Alpine to 29. Alfa Romeo stays at 2, as well as Williams and Haas both at 0, but Williams did move up thanks to George Russell moving into 12th position. And as far as our standings is concerned, I know Mike's getting ready for this. Mike,
hold on. Where'd Chaz go? Where'd he go?
No, I'm right here. I'm right here.
Right. So, Mike, you have 228, and Chaz, you have 213. And as usual, I did not score any points over the weekend, but that's okay. It's a long season. I keep on telling myself that. But speaking about that tire strategy, Red Bull did have a better strategy over the weekend. In fact, it was quoted by Toto Wolff that he said the fight between the 3 cars, Verstappen, Hamilton, and Bottas, was intense at the front, and they only have to opt out to continue the one-stop or two-stop strategy. Two-stop was dangerous because Perez was on his way, and we got it wrong today. He said that on Sunday there. But also, you're talking about, Max, how he was surprised that he got that extra cut on Lewis Hamilton. Sergio Perez said he was on the pace to pass up Lewis Hamilton if they had like 3 more laps, if and buts type of thing. But, he's doing better as a driver. Red Bull's doing better as a driver. Now, is it safe to say, and I was going to get this a little bit later, but is it safe to say that Sergio Perez has taken the demons out of that second seat at Red Bull, or is it too soon? There, Chaz.
I mean, it's tough. So here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at points, and I think you can't really argue with the results. So he's in third place right now in the driver standings, and again, you literally can't you can't do better than that because you're not going to beat Hamilton, and you're there to be second to Verstappen, which means that you're beating Bottas, which is better than the result that you could really ask for. And I would say that he's doing the best job that he could possibly do.
I think so too, but as far as removing those quote unquote demons from that second seat, that cursed second seat at Red Bull, for me it's a little too soon. For me, I might have to wait till at least until fall after the summer break, see how he does. Because in the beginning, he's building consistency, but in the beginning of the season, he wasn't as consistent. So I just want to see him, finishing those races in third and fourth and stuff like that to help out Max, to help out Red Bull, to get into what he needs to happen. But Mike, how do you see it?
Ask me the question again. I was looking up a stat.
I'm imagine it's about your points there, but no, did Sergio Perez has Sergio
Sergio
Perez
Perez,
moved
that's right.
the
Yeah.
demons?
I think Sergio. I don't like to use the phrase "knows his place," but I think he understands his role right now. That Max, they're pushing Max for a world championship, and I think he did what he was supposed to do. He got in the way. He held up the Mercedes when he was in a position to do so, and then he worried them when he was in the position to do so to kind of take the pressure off Max. So I don't think it's a curse. I don't think it's a curse. I think that the when you go into the Red Bull team, the main Red Bull team right now, as long as Max Verstappen is sitting in the first seat, you got to know your role. You got to know your part of the team, and you're going to win some races, but they're going to push Max. Right now, he's at the top. It would be selfish and hurtful to the team if at this point the number 2 driver would start, pulling some of the stunts that we've seen in the past. And I think Sergio has the right mentality and the right, especially the right control over his ego to play that part and make sure Max has the best chance possible to get the points to get his world championship.
Yeah, Williams fans, they don't believe in curses. But what I was gonna say though is no, I agree with
or Lions fans. Just Lions fans don't believe.
No, I agree with Brock. I do think it's a little early to make that call. I think that early in the year, well, I mean, maybe he's just building into his consistency, but earlier in the year it was kind of hard to, predict what the outcome was going to be when it came to Perez. So, yeah, we'll see. Definitely, we'll be able to make a solid call after this year.
Well, also I think he's still trying to find his footing in that car. Granted, it's only 8th race. I mean, he's a seasoned veteran in himself, but
right.
It's a new car, and honestly, that Red Bull has been, and we've seen it right now, been pushed up in that power. So they're expected to finish either first or second every single race. So the pressure is on Sergio Perez, like it was with Albon, like it was for Gasly, to finish not only in points, but up there with Max to help him out. So that's what I'm saying. He's probably still trying to find his footing over at Red Bull. I think he's finding it pretty good. But I don't know. I just probably have to wait to see if he's – because they said that second seat is cursed over at Red Bull. So we'll see how it goes.
Here's a good question. So is that because of Verstappen? Is it because just the dynamic that exists there, right? Because there's so much expectation. Well, maybe not so much expectation. All of the leverage is on Verstappen that basically you're in a no-win situation.
Well, I think it went all the way back to when Vettel was there because you had Daniel Ricciardo there. Before that, you had Weber there, and both were very good drivers and competed with Vettel, but Vettel got the better of that car. So I think it started all the way back there as far as that second seat not really being that well. I mean, that's what, statistics say, but moving on to the main story of the issue, which brought it up with Toto Wolff and Mercedes, that they had some tire pressure problems, and not only Mercedes, but Ferrari. Both of them not finishing points. But honestly enough, Williams, at least George Russell's Williams, had a much better opportunity with that tire pressure. But actually, let me back up a little bit. Ferrari's team principal said because of Pirelli's new tire pressure, they don't seem to be very competitive for the rest of the season. What do you think about that, Mike?
Well, I mean, the tire pressure effect should affect everybody, not just one car or one team. And I don't know how much I don't know how much adjustment the teams can make to the tire pressure in each tire. I don't know how deeply that's regulated. But just kind of from the outside looking in, I think there's an issue with Pirelli across the board, and they're kind of not making a big deal out of it, which is kind of making a big deal out of it, especially when you have the points leader blow out for no good reason in the final 5 laps of a race he should have easily won, and then have another car with the same tire go out also in the same race with didn't run over anything or anything. The tire just gave out. So I think there's some stuff we're probably going to have to wait till season 4 of Drive to Survive to find out what's going on. But I hope they get it fixed, because I sure hate to have it come down to that. It's like losing a Super Bowl and a referee's call,
Oh, God.
Or losing the World Series on an umpire's strike zone. I mean, it's something that the drivers can't control, the constructors can't control, and it's all in the hands of a third party that's supposed to supply them with a tool that they can use that's reliable. I think there's a reliability issue.
Mm-hmm. Well, fun fact for you. It's Netflix was there for Drive Survive in France, but they were following Alpine and Esteban Ocon last weekend. So we'll see how that goes. But Chaz, your take on that?
So repeat the question for me.
The situation with the tire pressure problems at Ferrari and Mercedes having their problems.
Yeah, but you quoted someone.
Well, Toto Wolff earlier, he said that as far as a strategy, let me quote it again. The fight between the 3 cars, Verstappen, Hamilton, and Bottas, was intense from the front, and you have to opt out to continue with the 1-stop or 2-stop strategy. The 2-stop was dangerous for us because Perez was on his way, and we got it wrong. But apparently, Mercedes is not the only one that having tire problems over the weekend. Ferrari had it, not finishing in points. Williams found, at least with George Russell, they found a way around it and make it more successful for them, finishing in 12th for George Russell. But overall, what do you think about this new tire pressure system there, Chaz?
So for me, there's kind of 2 parts of it. It's like it's this season and last season, right? So like this season, I would say that Pirelli's done a much better job. So if you look at the amount of times we were talking about splintering and issues like that last season, I would say actually the last 2 seasons, how much they've played a factor or a role in races versus this season. I mean, Hamilton has nothing to talk about over the radio, right? So or not as much, I'll say. So I think they're doing a much better job, clearly, but it was obviously a real factor in this race. To Mike's point, I don't know why it didn't affect everyone. If so that's where you kind of get into the space of, was this just an excuse or was this a real thing? And it's really hard to know in F1 because everyone's always sandbagging.
Yeah, of course. Speaking of Hamilton over the radio, everyone had radio problems over the weekend. We couldn't really hear that much. I was hoping to play a couple of them on this show, but everyone was having problems with the radio, apparently because the airport's right there and just interference came in and out. So but try to find something next week to play as far as the best of the radios.
Yeah, I heard that they no one could really hear, but they could hear incoming communication, but they just couldn't communicate. Like Verstappen talked about it a little bit. He said it wasn't like a huge deal. He's like, I wasn't able to communicate with them, but they still gave me data and information, all that stuff. So.
One thing that I was really surprised about, I thought it wasn't going to be a blowout for Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton, but I didn't expect Max to win at all, honestly. But that was the biggest takeaway for me is, Max coming around with 2 laps to go, passing Lewis Hamilton right there. And they had like a crowd view of that on Twitter. It's like someone in the crowd was taping Max actually passing Lewis at the same time, and it's like the whole crowd just went berserk.
Oh, they went nuts, yeah.
It was fantastic to see. But
all those British flags.
Well, he reeled them in. I mean, it was exciting, like Azerbaijan was, or the Spanish Grand Prix, right? Yeah, that was exciting when Hamilton chased Max down and when Max chased Hamilton down. It was exciting. It was exciting to watch, and the announcers were getting into it, and
yeah, no, it's definitely a trash result. I agree with Mike.
Well, we're going to come up to 2 races. We're coming up to 2 races here in Austria at the Red Bull Ring. And this is a course that plays heavily on tire pressure right now. So this is going to be very interesting to watch. It has 71. It's going to have 71 laps, 10 corners. The length is 4.3 kilometers. The race distance is 306 kilometers. And the record lap was held by Carlos and last year in 2020 with 1 minute and 5 seconds. So it's a very fast course. If once again, just like in France, this favors Red Bull. Favors Mercedes. But last time Lewis Hamilton won here was 2016. So with that said, let's go into picks. And Mike, since you're first, I'll let you make the picks first.
Well, this isn't a course that likes Lewis Hamilton. Last year, Valtteri won it, and I don't even think Lewis finished. Or if no, he got the. Can't remember if this is the race where he got the 10-second stop and go. But I think he's due. I think he's due for a win. I think this is the longest stretch we've went without Hamilton being number one. So I want to say Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez.
What's your wild card there? Your extra prediction.
I gotta stick to my guns till it happens. I gotta keep the faith.
Yeah, boy.
George Russell in Q3.
George Russell in Q3.
Chaz, what do you have on the podium?
I have Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris.
Ooh, Lando.
And your extra wild card prediction.
Yeah, my wild card is Ricciardo coming in 5th.
5th or higher?
Did I say 5th? I meant 5th or higher. 5th or higher. That was a Freudian slip because I actually meant to say 4th, but 5th was what I thought was more realistic. So let's go with that.
So okay, I gotta be a little different. Chaz, you and I talked about this off air that normally going into this I have my picks like a couple days ahead of time, but today was a little crazy for me, and so I'm now just thinking about it and trying to make my picks here. I'd probably go with Max, Lewis, and Sergio. And Vettel will finish in points.
Yeah, it won't be so boring if you rack up all the points.
Yeah. He streaks past us to the lead.
Right.
That's going to be the over-under, baby. Speaking about the over-under, the only thing I noticed, and this probably wasn't even correct, but about lap 32, I noticed that both Mazepin and Verstappen left the pits. So I'm thinking that's when he got lapped.
Okay.
So I think what did we say at 26?
26 was the over-under last week, and I think what did I pick, over or under?
You said under. We only gave Chaz over, so that's why he got 6 points.
You got 6. Oh, you son of a gun.
No, you got 6.
No, you got
I did?
6.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's the only points you got out of the weekend.
No, in that case, I love it. No, that's great.
So I'll see how it goes this go around, see if I can pay attention. But
So the over-under is 34 then for Mazepin?
32. 32.
Wait, how many laps are in this race?
71.
It's a short
71.
course. Not very long.
Right.
So right in the middle there.
Under. I'm going to put it under.
32. Ooh. No, I'm going to go over.
Over?
Yeah.
I'll say under again.
It is a short. I don't know. I'm gonna stay over.
Stay over?
Yep, I'll stay over.
Okay. So it'll be interesting to see.
So would it technically be under if he doesn't finish?
Well, depending on what lap you got.
I mean, that's not getting. Yeah, I guess it depends on on when. Yeah.
I mean, because if you spin off the course and slam into the wall, you're getting laughed by everybody.
Yeah. Just like in Bahrain, he lapped out. He crashed down the first lap there, first corner.
You over do 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that counts.
Over and get 6 points.
That counts.
Jesus Christ. I like that we're just changing the rules in the midstream here. I mean, come on.
Hey, we're like the FIA, man. We just make it up as we go along, right?
Of course. But we got 2 races back to back in the Red Bull Ring, so we'll see how it goes.
3 weeks in a row. F1.
Yeah.
You know what, Mike? I made graphics, by the way, for this show. So, by the way, if you think it sucks, blame it on me. But I'm going to keep your graphic from now on. You know, I don't have to change it. I don't have to do anything. Boom, just save it on that website. It'll be done with. So I don't have to bother with that. That saves me like 3 minutes right there alone in editing.
Do what? Do what?
On your prediction, George Russell in Q3. I'm just going to save that card. Save that thumbnail.
Yeah, until it happens. It's going to happen this year. Yeah, I mean, he's getting better. The car's getting better.
He's getting better, yeah.
Yeah. It's going to happen.
God, I hope so. I like the kid. I think he's going to do well. We talked about this a while back that he might, hopefully move up to the Mercedes spot. I think it. Hopefully soon it will happen, but we'll see how if Bottas moves on, even though sign an extension, if Lewis Hamilton retires. So we'll see.
I still think Lewis is going to win it all this year. It's going to be tight, but he'll win his 8th.
It'll be interesting. That should be our Twitter question of the week is will either Red Bull or Mercedes win it all? In other words, drivers and constructors, or will they split it? Like one.
That's a good question.
Well, one will go to Red Bull, the other one go to Mercedes.
That's a super good question.
Yeah, it could be that close.
In both, I was actually no. That's a better question. My questions were all like McLaren related, just because I'm just so bullish on Lando right now. Like that kid he's putting together. He's putting together an absolute banger of a season. It's only too bad that he signed his contract before the season started. Yeah.
Actually, there's a statistic that came out earlier this week that Lando Norris is the only driver on the grid this season to finish in points. So
what does that mean?
That he never DNF'd. He never finished outside of the top 10. He always finished inside the top 10 every single race.
Every race.
Yeah.
Every race so far.
He's good. He's going to be a world champion.
I mean, he's currently ahead of Bottas in the points.
Yeah.
I mean, like that stat on its own. Like, give that kid some money.
And McLaren is doing well. They're improving.
They're ahead of Ferrari.
I like that whole midfield fight between McLaren, Ferrari.
Well, you know what? It's actually technically it's a top tier fight because McLaren's in third and Ferrari's in fourth, right? So they're fighting for that number 3 spot.
Oh yeah,
which is crazy.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And we talked about this too, that McLaren has an extra $280 million to play with R&D and stuff like that. So even though
why is that? They get a new sponsor, or
no, they sold their facility in England for $285 million, and that same company that they sold it to is leasing back to them. So
okay, gotcha. Okay, so they're still in the same space. I was gonna say that space is like custom, like for them. That's a amazing facility.
Beautiful facility.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm actually bullish on McLaren. It's interesting to see what they're going to do going into 2022 with a new power unit. And I think that's one team right there. I mean, every team has to do this, but except for Haas. I said they're playing for 2022 right now, but I think McLaren is playing both for 2021 and 2022 right now because of that extra money.
I think it would only be fair with the new season in 2022 in order to make all teams competitive that Haas get a 2-lap head start.
They still wouldn't finish.
Mazepin would still get lapped in 32 laps.
And it's still for the over under. It'll still be under. Now, Schumacher may have a chance, but
with Haas, it's sad that they've given up this year, and they're just kind of because why even put your drivers at risk? Why even waste the money? Just if you're not going to even make an effort, just stay home.
Did you say put your drivers at risk?
Well, it's true that you're probably not going to get too injured driving as slow as they do, but.
No, it's just a hilarious perspective to be like, why even put them at risk? They're at risk for just being out there. Like, it's not even worth the risk to compete.
Exactly. Well, so I mean, the latest worst accident in F1 history happened last year with Grosjean. And he could have died. He very easily could have died in that.
You're like, what would he have died for exactly?
Exactly.
Wouldn't have been a noble cause.
No. So, I mean, if you're not even going to put the effort in, why are you even wasting gas? I guess is my point. I guess to get those young kids experience, I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to watch. Every year now at the end of the year, I wait for the Netflix special to come out so I can binge watch it, so I can get all the inside story on everything that we're watching through real time.
I've said before, I'm excited to see it next season for Yuki Tsunoda and how he reacts there.
I love Yuki, man. I know. Shut up. My boy. That is my boy.
I love it.
Telling his principal, shut the hell up. I know.
Well, another story this week is the last race of the season over in Abu Dhabi, the Yas Marina circuit, has listened, unquote, to their fans, to the F1 fans, to F1 itself, the FIA, to basically to everybody that says that the turns 5, 6, and 7, as well as 11, 12, 13, and 14 will be making a change. And we're going to put the map of the circuit right there. If you see the 5, 6, and 7, there's a big chicane right there, right before the big straightaway. They're going to make it as we're going to take away that chicane, and it's already there that where they could have just a long straightaway until just make it a straightaway until the long straightaway. So they want to take that out, make it what the drivers want, what the fans want, make it more competitive because that chicane is really hurting, a hard braking zone right before the long straightaway so people can overtake. So, and 11, 12, 13, and 14 is all like a chicane and hard braking area, and they're going to make it like a big loop around and come back around to Sector 3. So I think those are really big improvements on the circuit. Mike, your opinion on it?
It's going to make it faster.
Yeah. I think more competitive.
I'm not a real big fan of chicanes myself.
Yeah, I prefer sugar canes.
I like the or candy canes, But I like the tracks that are more flowing and have not the right angle turns for some. I don't know. Maybe it's just my own OCD or something. But just to put a little hiccup in the middle of a nice long straightaway.
Yeah.
I just kind of I want to see those guys flying.
Well, it's just like also in people why they don't like Spain too much is because the last Sector 3 where you have it's not a chicane, but you almost like make a zigzag going back into the long straightaway where the fans want is just big one loop so you can make a better overtaking opportunity and faster opportunity. And Mike, to your point there as well, I'm going to throw it to you, Chaz. This is going to make it where it's going to be just faster all the way around for these cars, which will make it more competitive and better for us there, Chaz.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta give your tip your hat to F1. They in the last, I would say the last few years, they've done more intentionally to improve the sport and bring in new fans and make the sport better. They've become very, very, very intentional about that. And so any change that they make, I see it whether, I like the idea or not, I see it more as kind of a net positive for them as far as like, okay, this is evidence that the sport is trying to evolve. If you look at other leagues, they tend not to evolve as quickly, right? Like when was the last innovation in baseball? I don't really know. But to be fair, though, motorsports is a sport that is full of evolution because it's mechanical technology. So there are advancements every year, but I think the actual sport and the rules and tracks and all that, taking that into account and trying to improve that, I think it's great.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see, and I'm excited to see that because I like night courses, but I wasn't really a big fan of this course simply because of the chicane. Kind of glad they're taking it out. What if there was no chicane at Turn 1 at Monza? Just one big long straightaway like that. Imagine what they got up to. Oh my God!
Yeah, if you said rip the back wings off, you didn't
have. It'd be fun. Would it be safe?
No, it wouldn't be safe, but it'll be fun though. We had a Twitter question out there: which driver would be forced to leave their team first? The options were Sergio Perez, Daniel Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz, as well as Valtteri Bottas, and Bottas got 88% of the vote. That he'll be forced to leave the team first, and when I say that, it's going to be by the end of this year. Mike, your take on it?
I can agree with that. I think he's tired. He's tired of being a number 2, and he wants to go win he wants to win a championship. He's a winner, and he doesn't like to play that role anymore. It's kind of like being a backup quarterback. I know I always go back to reference to other sports, but it's like being a backup to Tom Brady. Quit already. It's my turn. I mean, what else can you do? Just let me win a few. So well, yeah, I agree with that.
Well, Chaz, also, I feel like we're beating a dead horse here, but what we're seeing on the course, what we're seeing in the paddock, what we're seeing in the garage, is not the same Bottas as years past. I think there's something up there. So I agree with Mike, and I agree with the pollsters here that 88.5% actually voted for Bottas to leave the team, or be forced to leave the team first. Not voluntary, be forced.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of a different take than Mike does, because I don't think that he's a winner. But I think that, like, if you look at the data, obviously Mercedes is a data driven team, as much as any team, maybe more than any. And they're also ruthless in their approach to improvement. I mean, it's fine if Bottas is coming in second, and it's fine if they're still winning the constructors championship. You can still kind of reason everything away. His performance fluctuations. It's kind of like, you can, after the race, talk it out, and it kind of seem reasonable in conversation. And I'm talking about conversations he might have with Toto Wolff and with the engineering team. If it starts to cause you to lose the constructor, so if they lose the constructors championship this year, I don't think that there'll be a conversation. I mean, he's currently behind a 21-year-old in a McLaren.
Yep.
There's conversations, and then there's results. I mean, if he can't come through, if he can't come through on the results, and if it causes them to actually materially lose something like the constructors, which is really the only thing that he's there to help them get, I think that changes everything. Because if he comes in third place or whatever behind Verstappen, that doesn't actually matter that much. But if he causes them to lose the constructors, I think that's the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Well, Chaz, who would you like to see in that second spot? If you were advising Toto Wolff, or if you Toto Wolff yourself, you have Lewis Hamilton. Who would you like to see in that second spot?
So there's a kid out of Rochester, New York, actually. He is 5'7", wears a yellow shirt sometimes, white hat, AirPods, beard. Really, really. I mean, he's average, but he's black, and you know how much we've been having these racial conversations. So I think it'd be really good for the sport if you give me a shot in that second chair.
I heard about that kid. He's very old.
Yeah, that kid's very old.
That's a nice way of putting it. So we'll leave it at that.
I think the person I would be the most excited about would be Lando Norris.
You said you were bullish on him.
I would be over the moon. It would secure, like, it would all but secure the constructors for Mercedes, give us an unbelievably reliable driver, and set us up for future seasons.
Mike, the question to you. Yeah, I have to agree with Chaz. I think that kid from New York with the yellow shirt is way too old.
Wait, what? That's not what I thought you were going
to say. So Lando would be a good second choice to that old man.
Okay, all right, well.
I could see, any of the. I would definitely put, if Hamilton stays and Bottas goes, I would definitely put the next generation of the Mercedes dominating driver to be able to mentor off of Lewis and be around that type of work ethic and stuff. And I could see a Lando Norris. I could see George Russell also filling that shoes. And he's kind of being primed for that now anyway. But any driver that would be it's going to be around for a while, that they can get into that culture when they're young. And I would, they might even want to go down to F2 and F3 and get the next generation. Get somebody real young, like a Yuki Tsunoda or somebody, whoever their top driver is, to come up and be a part of that atmosphere. But if I would have to pick a driver out of the current roster, either Lando or George, either of those two.
I think it's probably the best and wisest decision to do that.
Give us an interesting one.
Or the old guy from New York, what the hell?
The old guy. Okay.
I mean, I think he could at least beat Maspin.
I would do as good as Bottas for half the money. I would only ask half.
So Toto Wolff, you're watching right now.
Oh.
He's an investor, a numbers guy. He could save half percent.
At the very least, you could just be the back marker that holds up the entire field as Hamilton.
I would do a great job of holding up the field.
Well, if Mike, if your Dogecoins take off, you could probably sell it, buy a team, and there you go. You got your first driver right there.
Well, I just wait for Verstappen and then brake check him.
I think that's a good point to leave it. So you would go to a Mercedes team, Chaz?
What?
Would you go to a Mercedes team, Ferrari? If you're not a Ferrari fan, so let me throw that to you. If Ferrari threw you a seat, would you take it?
I have too much pride, too much integrity, and too much talent to do that. So I would take my I would respectfully decline. I tell them to go F themselves, and F obviously is for Ferrari, and then I would wait. I would patiently wait for my 45th birthday.
That would be a good Twitter question, Brock. If a fairy godmother could wave her wand and an F1 team would hire you, which team would you want to go to?
Yeah, I think everybody has the dream, to be honest, of driving for Ferrari. Who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
But I think if I could choose a team right now, though, I mean, it would definitely be Mercedes, mostly strategically, because after Mercedes, you can go anywhere. You literally have your pick for any seat that's not contractually held up. My other choices, like McLaren doesn't guarantee you a seat anywhere else, but having a seat at Mercedes does.
That's true.
But McLaren does have that Mercedes engine, so you're probably more familiar with it. And McLaren has history to it. So
that's one of the older teams, them and Williams and
Ferrari.
I think I'd want to go to Terrell Ford. Okay.
Honestly, we're going to, and I keep on plugging this, but our next What If series will be What If, I know it's been done before, but on the modern stage right now with the new rules, regulations, spending cap, salary cap, and all that, what if the grid extended to 13 teams, 26 in all? And at the very end of that, we're all going to give our picks. If we were the owners, we were the principals, what drivers and what power unit will we use for that if we had that extra team in there. But we're going to save that for later. But in the meantime, follow us on Twitter, YouTube at Form of Racing. Also our new Twitter poll right now. Would the championships be split, or will it go one way or the other? We'll both have it go to Mercedes, or both have it to Red Bull. Let us know. Also, if you have a topic for us, email us, theformofracing@gmail.com. And other than that, we'll see you next time right here on the F1 Starting Grid.
Cool.